So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Mariel. I am from California, born and raised in California, but I spent about 4 years from 2016 to 2020 living and working and going to school in Japan. And right now I am going to school in Scotland. So
Wow,
that's
that's
me.
awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of places.
Yeah, what's your major?
Okay, so I'm doing a PhD in education.
That's awesome. It must be
Thanks.
fun to travel the country or the world like that.
I'm really lucky. I'm in a privileged enough position that I get to do stuff like this and that I get to do the kind of research that I'm interested in and that I think will help people.
So what inspired you to start like voice acting?
Well, it was kind of actually an extension of all these things that were already in place in my life. When I was working in Japan, I was doing a lot of stuff with creating English practice materials. So I was already using my voice in a studio setting, reading out sentences and having different scenarios play out. And then, I'm also just a musician for fun kind of
Mm-hmm.
person. So I already had all this audio equipment. I already had all this stuff. And I was like, it's not that big of a leap for me to go into the acting side of it. Rather than speaking for clarity, here I am speaking for emotion. And, the more that I got into it, the more fun it was. And I really like it.
That's awesome. So you just do it for fun. It's not really like a career thing.
No, the academic side is very much where I'm driven to. But, just in case my research isn't good enough, feeling a little bit of solidarity with Rio right now.
Right. So what was your first voice acting job?
Technically, it was that doing English practice materials, but specifically as a voice actor, I think it was some commercial for a mobile game or something like that. I genuinely don't remember.
I know you said this isn't your career, but was there like any like obstacle that you faced when trying to be a voice actor?
It's mostly because this isn't my career. I haven't put as much time or effort or money, investing in my voice in the same way that career voice actors have. The thing that I have going for me, I can put a lot of emotion in my voice. I didn't really do dramas. I wasn't a theater kid in high school. I didn't do that kind of stuff. And so that set me back because I didn't put in that work. And so if other
Right.
people got the part before me or, they were just preferable, that's fine. I think it's
that's a good attitude to have.
Oh, thanks. Just for me, it's just more fun this way. It's less pressure. But the obstacles are there because I haven't taken care of them.
Right. Okay, I understand what you're saying. Like for me, like being a professional writer, it's kind of hard because it's what I love to do, but also it's my career, so I have to worry about a lot of things since I don't just do it for fun. So it must be nice just to do something for fun like that.
Yeah, a little bit.
So is there anybody that like inspires you? Like it could be like a celebrity or any other voice actress or actor?
I was thinking about this earlier, and he's technically not a voice actor, but he does the NBA top 10 plays of the night.
Okay.
And on YouTube, everyone calls him the GOAT Mentator because when he comments on basketball plays, he brings so much energy and life and rhythm to the way that he explains what is going on in the basketball play, that it does not matter whether or not you play basketball, you will get caught up in his enthusiasm. So shout out to the GOAT Mentator on NBA.com.
That's awesome. Are you a fan of basketball?
Oh yeah, grew up around it. It was very much a family thing. I'm not very tall. I'm 4'11", but I spent like second grade to like eighth grade playing basketball. And then, I stopped growing, so I stopped. But,
Right. So this is one of my questions that I decided to add on the list. Do you have like a favorite video game or a novel or a book, or are you a fan of video games?
I like playing video games. I think it's a really fun thing to do, especially because, how do I put this? So much of my day is being entrenched in academic reading. It's heavy. It's not boring, but it's really, really intense. And so one of the things I like to do is to play video games, is to read things that aren't intense. Actually, I just finished up Divinity Original Sin 2, and that was a really, really long and intense game
for
for me. So is less relaxing, but I thought it was still fun.
Yeah, so it's just like a nice pastime for you.
Yeah, a way to just sort of get out of my own head to, away from whatever social things that I'm looking at, especially, doing research in education, doing research in like applied linguistics, like I was doing in Japan. A lot of that is situated within social life, and some of this stuff can get really heavy. And it's nice to sort of escape to a little fantasy world where maybe that doesn't matter so much. Maybe
Right,
I
of course.
can just make friends with a skeleton man and get him to love me, can't exactly do that in real life.
So do you have a favorite game or movie or book?
Oh gosh, do I? My favorite okay, I'm so sorry. This is an extremely nerdy thing of me to say, but my favorite book is an academic one. This is not a joke. I am my favorite book is in fact Decolonizing Methodologies by Linda Tui-Smith, which sounds really, really boring, but what it does is it looks at the way that like knowledge and history and the way that we see ourselves sort of interact in the way that they think about or the way that we all think about what we learn and what we know. Sorry, that's super, super nerdy.
No. I mean, you didn't have to say anything like Harry Potter. Like, it's fine. I wanted you to say whatever was actually your favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to questions about Where the Stars Brought Us. So how did you hear about the game?
Yeah, I was up on a freelancing site and I saw the call out. I actually originally saw it for May, and I auditioned for May at first. And
That's fine.
so the girl who does May is so good, and I could not do a cold voice even nearly as good as she does. And my voice very much lended itself, I feel, to this really fiery character of Nam. Right. And so I auditioned for May. I didn't get that. Happy with the one that I have. Right. And I really had a lot of fun.
Well, when I heard you auditioning as May, like I was taking notes, I was writing everybody's name down. And next to your name, I put Nam, and I just circled it. And I was like, I already know who it's just going to be.
Oh, that warms my heart so much. I'm so glad.
No, you were perfect, yes.
You know what's really funny, actually? When I was auditioning, I told my little sister about it. And she... to her a little bit about the background of Nam, and because at this point I was auditioning for Nam, and she turned to me because we were driving in the car. She was like, "Are you sure you didn't just submit your biography for that? Because you definitely just ran away to Japan and found your partner there, right? Like, because that is exactly what happened."
Right.
So I'm glad.
Well, this next question is there a moment that resonated with you with either your character or in the story?
Oh, absolutely. There was that moment when Nam is going into the bathroom for real. And the idea that there's no social more, there's no rule that will keep her from comforting her little brother. Right. Of course, that's a feeling that I've had, towards my little sister, towards my friends, towards anybody that I care about. Like, I genuinely don't care what authority you call upon me. I'm going to be there for the person that I care about. And I think that sort of drive is something that is really essential for Nam, as selfish as it might seem over the course of the game.
I love that moment, and I think it's super sweet. And I actually heard your lines, and you sound great and perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So is Nam your favorite character, or do you have another favorite character?
I mean, I feel like I just have this partiality to her just because she's so much like me, that sort of narcissism that I have. But Rio is also so sweet, like throughout the game. I mean, partially just because the voice acting is good and it's solid, and but yeah, it's probably still Nam. I gotta root for her and her pathways and her choices in life.
Right. Do you have any feelings about the way that her story ended? And we can talk about spoilers here as well.
Oh, good. Okay, I was afraid of that.
Yeah.
I think all of the endings have a sense of bittersweetness to them. And the choices that you make, and this is true for real life, are only that much more interesting if they come with whatever the opposite of a silver lining is. There are things that you have to give up in order to have the things that you want. I mean, we can talk about getting everything that you want, and we can talk about making a circumstance in which you get everything you want. But if you are committed to yourself and you are committed to your principles, there's no way that you are going to please everybody. And Nam did her best to please herself. And I can't really fault her for that, as mean as, as she could be. I can fault her for pushing her brother into the pool. That was messed up. He can't swim.
Yeah, I think I remember writing that, and I was just trying to make it so she was so desperate and so afraid of her parents finding out. And that wasn't something that she would normally do because she's so protective of him and really cares about him. So in that moment, she was so desperate, oh my God, what do I do? I don't want anybody to know that I'm talking to this man,
Yeah, and that fragility is something that I think that so many people can identify with, like that shame that you have that you want to protect yourself, that sort of everything else. It's not like it goes away.
Right.
But in that moment, your fear becomes the center of your entire life. And that's what causes that fragility.
And I think a lot of people can see Nam's ending as her being very, very selfish. And I think in a way she is being selfish. But also, what is she supposed to do? She's just trying to find her own path and do what makes her happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Would I make those same choices? Probably not. But
right.
Do I understand why she made the choices that she did? Yeah.
Yeah, and I do too, definitely.
Well, of course you do. You wrote it. Yeah.
I was trying to make even the worst people and the villains of the story be somewhat I can see their point of view. I can see why they do these things. I wanted everybody to be just a little bit relatable in some way.
I think that's really important in a story that you did that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it easier as an outside party. It's always easier to be critical of other people. And one of my pet peeves is when it's assumed that you have to agree entirely with what the protagonist does, that the protagonist is the center of the story, but there are times that Rio messes up as well, or has the opportunity to mess up, right. I suppose. Or even when it feels like he's not messing up, there's something else that is there's other gears that are turning in the background that maybe he doesn't realize that he's messing up, and there are consequences for that. And understanding that there are consequences for your actions, however well-intentioned they may be, and understanding that other people's intentions are good, even if they are messing up. That was really, really nice. And I really do appreciate that, just as somebody who's consuming this story as well.
Well, thank you. So is there a favorite moment you have?
Oh, that was definitely the bathroom scene, and I already talked about that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think a moment, I can frame it in terms of recording. My favorite moment is probably still recording the bathroom scene, just because Jaden and I couldn't really stop ourselves from laughing during that first take, and it was really, really hard. I don't know if that's a take that you guys used, but
no, I didn't hear that.
it was just really hard not to laugh, because it was such a ridiculous thing for me to say. If Rio had heard that in a real setting,
right.
then maybe he would have stopped crying or something. That's probably it.
Well, is there a moment that shocked you the most when you read it for the first time?
When I read it for the first time, moment that shocked me. The shocking part was the reveal of who her boyfriend actually was.
Oh yeah.
I think that is the thing that shocked me. That was so fun. It's it's this guy's back. This is the guy, So that was a really nice surprise for me.
Right.
Personally.
And I was trying to make it a little Easter egg. I don't know if you remember when Rio meets Ty on the bus, and he has the flowers under his bench. And he's like, I really messed up with my girlfriend. She hasn't come home. Well, that was because she was kidnapped, not because she was mad at him,
Yeah. It's not her fault.
No, it really wasn't. Let's see. Was there a scene that was the most difficult to act? I know you said that you kept laughing during the one scene.
So this has to do more with scheduling than anything. But there were times... There were group sessions where it was just Jaden and I had to imagine everyone else there. And these were moments of really, really high tension within the script. And it's easier to act if you're vibing off other actors, right? If you can get their sense of, whatever they're thinking and feeling. And I'm not somebody, at least I don't think I am, I'm not somebody who lends themselves very easily to a high-strung emotion in a high-strung way. I don't express my tension in the same way that Nam does. at least the way that I imagined her, expressing her tension. And I think that bringing myself into that moment of, I need to deliver it like this, and I need to be loud, and I need to be numb, and I need to have that sort of, I was holding my body very like I was squeezing my fists. I was doing anything so that I wouldn't lapse. Like, because even though I was feeling her anger and I was feeling, her tension, I wanted to do that in a way that did her justice.
Right.
And anything to keep her anger hers and not mine. And then in that scene where she is telling Ty, like, just wait outside, like to switch back and forth between, a very terse moment with her family versus a really loving, affectionate way of speaking to her boyfriend. Like, that was it was jarring, and it was tough. It was really tough.
I have never had that skill. I could never, I think I've tried to be a voice actor when I was younger, and I'm just not able to do it. So I really respect it, and I know that it's very difficult. So if there was one plot point that you could change, which one would it be?
One plot point. Maybe, and this is absolutely just wishful thinking. I know it contradicts things that I just previously said, but
right.
to have an ending where Riel gets everything. Yeah, it would feel cheesy, but, to have an ending like that would be so good. There's a moment, right, because you have the necklace at the door. You have this feeling that he has gotten everything, that he still has the opportunity for a connection with her, right? Even though he is back home with his family. But other than that, the story is really good. All of these pieces, like, interlock with each other really, really well. And I think that the way that they interlock, super important to the story.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And I was trying to make a story about, I guess it was another coming of age story, but I didn't want it to be another boring one. I wanted it to be like, I don't know, like, as much as a happy ending would be nice for me as well. It's not, it's not what adulthood is, and I wanted him to now know what it feels like to be an adult and have loss and death and all of these awful things, but also all of these beautiful feelings and love. And
maybe I just want Riel to write his research paper. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the academic in me, like, trying to come out and be like, write your paper, cite your sources, Yeah, but I do get what you mean, that like adulthood is experiencing a wider range of emotions that are available to you and learning how to negotiate them. And you're completely right. To have everything without being able to experience that it's just a smaller set of experiences. And I don't think that would do justice to the experiences of the story.
And do you know what all the endings are?
There's one where, because Nam records lines of when Riel goes with May at the end, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone misses him. There's the ones where Nam leaves, and there's ones where Nam comes back. Yeah.
And the one that makes me most uncomfortable is the one where he leaves with May, because that just completely goes against, like, all of the lessons he should have learned in his life, and throughout this whole journey. And I had to write a bad ending, and, like, I was like, this makes me so unhappy. But maybe that's what makes it so bad, Maybe that's good, because it's a bad ending after all. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it, but I like it.
It's such a sad ending, because you're there, you've left, you've made your, and I guess Rio's bad ending is kind of Nam's happy one almost, right? Because Rio is making that same choice that Nam did. He's leaving, he's leaving his family behind in favor of this new experience that he wants, but that's not a drive that he's really ever shown himself to have throughout the story. Like, he's all about, like, helping people, about helping May, you know, and that sense of not duty, but I don't know the word, connection, like interpersonal connections. To cut all that off, that's not him.
Yeah, which is why it made me so uncomfortable,
Yeah.
That was him making the wrong choices for himself.
Isn't that, like, such a good part of writing, though, is when you, like, sit in those moments of discomfort? I'm interviewing you now. Like, when you sit in that discomfort and you realize things about yourself, about the thing that you're writing, about what you hold dear and the values that you have.
For sure. And I'm someone who really cares about family and being close and not ever really abandoning them or the people that I love. And so that's why when Nam, you know, in Rio's eyes, abandoned him, I was actually hurt for him because I was like, I know what that feels like, you know, and because family is important to him, and he starts to miss them at the end of the story. Like he's not totally like encompassed by May or infatuated with her enough to forget about his family. By the end of the game, he's really, really missing them a lot, and that's why it's hard for him to decide what to do at the end.
Oh, especially with that castle in the sky scene, right? Where, you know, the fantasy is that he gets everything, is that everyone is okay and is healthy
Right.
and is home. And I completely get it. Like one of the hardest things about living in Japan was being cut off from everybody that I was close to. I lived in California in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'd lived there for 23 years, you know,
Wow. Yeah.
never stopping, you know, and everything about me was in this one location, and suddenly being cut off from everything was scary, but it was really fun. And I guess we're lucky, you know, technology means that I can talk to my sister, you know, she can send me pictures of her dog. um, you know, things like that. It's an interesting balance that you've struck there in the story. I really like it.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. And I'm really glad you were able to be a part of the project because, like I said, I think you're an absolute perfect fit for Nam.
Oh, thank you.
And when I heard your voice, I was like, oh my God, this is just how I envisioned her. um, so I'm really glad. I'm glad that you wanted to be Nam as well.
I would like to thank Misty from Pokemon and Faye Valentine and all of these really inspiring mean women.
Right. That's the best kind of woman, I think.
we're just so mean. And I took that. Yeah, no, she's so fun. I wish I'd seen the call out for her instead of May first, but yeah, I really liked that sort of attitude that I can bring there, because, you know, when you're talking in an academic setting, when you are doing interviews as an academic, you can't do that. You can't be angry like that.
Right.
You know? So it was nice to unleash that a little bit.
Well, unfortunately, I have one more question, and it's, do you have anybody that you'd like to thank?
I would like to thank my boyfriend, Joseph, for not playing League of Legends during any of my recording sessions, including this one. Thank you for stopping. He's right over the wall here, and so we work in separate rooms. So thank you to him for being there and supporting me. Thank you to my little sister for calling me out and telling me when I am being selfish. And thank you to my parents for encouraging all of these weird things that kind of led me to this moment of being a voice actress, you know?
Well, that's great. And thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, and thank you for writing such a wonderful story.